Jazz.
Go Jazz.
Jazz.
Cheers.
To courtside seats.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, I don't know why you would sign up to be a housewife if
I don't
you
either.
were running a telemarketing scheme. And
Boom.
Heather, if Jen goes to jail, how do you plan to support her?
I mean, I will write her.
Wait a damn minute.
And 3, you've done a 180 and blindly stood by her. How do you justify that now that she's pled guilty?
guilty, innocent, in between, she is still a human being. I will always root for the underdog.
Well, we all
What's going to try to support.
That you said, you know, if those victims were actually victimized by her, then I can't be her friend anymore.
And
you kind of were the judge and jury before she was even tried.
Stop telling me everything that I think and do.
I'm
not telling you.
What's up, y'all? It's Brian Keith, and I'm back with another video. And today we are going to be talking about the last episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 3, reunion part 2. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Let me check my shit real quick. Hotter than the fire coming out my flaming lips. You wanna play with me? You can't play in me. On the playground, bitch, you can't play with me. Got it, won it, securing the bag.
All right, so with Salt Lake City, my whole situation is I feel like they are going to have to recast through the whole grapevine, I guess you can say. They're bringing Mary back. They said they're gonna bring her back in a friend of. But one thing about Salt Lake is that they film so quick after the reunions. They could do like 3 weeks with Mary filming her, and then they're like, you know what?
We're gonna make it full time.
Especially if the new girls that they quote unquote have are gonna flop. And the reports say that, you know, none of the friends this season are coming back. So that's kind of funny because like Angie K, you know, thirsty on Angie H, Dana, they're not coming back. And I feel like the reason why they cut out Dana's part with Jen, I said in my other video, is because I feel like they knew they weren't gonna bring Dana back, so they didn't want the fans to get invested in Dana and be like, oh my god, you saw how she went after Jen. They cut it out because it's just like, girl, we ain't got time. So I feel like if they were gonna bring back any person of those 3, they would have brought back Angie K, because I feel like Angie K is the more vocal and has the actual lifestyle. So yeah, but let's get into the video. So it continues with, you know, Angie K basically talking about Heather and Jen, you know, was it Barbie scissor kicks each other. That's how Heather over here got beat up. And Andy asked her like, okay, why do you say that? You know, they had like these sexcapades. What's going on with that?
Talking to some people, and they said, have you ever heard of any sexual relations between Heather and Jen? You've been friends with her for 20 years. You thought we'd had a sex act? Girl, there's a lot of things I didn't know.
The rumors around Salt Lake, somebody said that, you know, Heather and Jen, that's what they do. They have these whole situations. So Heather's just sitting there just like, okay, so I got my black eye and I'm trying to defend Jen because we have sexual acts together. Okay, it's ridiculous. And Lisa feels like, she's like, okay, Heather, you can say it's ridiculous, but you have to realize like what it looks like for us. Like, you're on TV, y'all are putting y'all boobs together on top of each other on the bed, flashing each other, being very hypersexual with each other, which nothing's wrong with that. I mean, y'all are girlfriends, friends, and y'all are, you know, drinking, having a good time, do what you got to do. But I could see where Lisa made that point at. But I feel like Lisa was just trying to get zingers in with everybody. But Andy asked Heather, so did you want to find a person that basically
knocked your ass out?
She's like, well, you know, I do, like, you know, it's my morning shame. She starts crying, and like I said, Heather, unfortunately, I can't give you no type of grace with this, because at the end of the day, you sat up here and made a whole fairy tale, a whole novel, no pun intended, about how you got this black eye, but now you want to sit up here and talk about you don't know this, that, and the third, but you were saying that everybody else know. So Heather, you can miss me with all that. I don't care about none of it, because at the end of the day, being assaulted is very serious. So to say and to make light of a situation, I mean, it basically seemed like she made up a storyline, and that's just what it was. At the end of the day, do I feel like producers had their hand in the pot? Yes. But at the end, regardless if the producer had their hand in the pot or not, you're a grown woman. You can say, hey, I'm not doing that. This is what I'm going to say. So all the friends leave, and that was that.
Thank you. for your services.
You know, Whitney, Heather, Andy asked them like, okay, where are you guys at? How are you guys feeling? And you know, they're not in a good place. And Whitney feels like even if she regrets that she was drunk when having a conversation with Heather, but she said even if she was drunk or not, the conversation would have went the same way because Heather was lying. Heather didn't feel like she was lying. She was like, how did I lie when you're trying to tell me I knew something that I didn't know? Whitney was like, I told you when we were in Arizona about the whole situation, but it was basically two different rumors mixed up. And this is the part that's it's just funny. I feel like Whitney was trying to play producer, right? How she was just like, let me give information out and see who brings it up. And I feel like she wanted Heather to back her up blindly. Heather didn't do that. And I'm not mad, but I do feel like at some point it just became bigger than itself, because I feel like in the beginning, Whitney was at fault because she made up these rumors. But I feel like towards the end with Heather kept beating a dead horse and making it bigger than what it is. Like, I'm not talking to you. No, we can't be friends. No, because you're trying to call me a liar and this and the third. I'm just like, girl, it was easy to be like, okay, girl, you know, we had a misunderstanding. That's what it was. Cool. That was it. But no, they want to do their big one. So Heather feels like by Whitney calling her a liar, like she basically disrespected her. She didn't like that. And like they were saying, like, you got mad at me for basically calling you a liar, but Jen lies to you almost every day. She has a history of lying and she has a history of talking about you, but everything is cool when it comes to Jen. And she's like, well, you know, I hold you to a higher standard than Jen. Because Andy asked her, like, well, do you hold her to a higher standard? She's like, I absolutely do. Yeah, I do. And I'm just like, maybe she does, because they are cousins. They've known each other. Cool. That's fine. But at the end of the day, how you going to judge Whitney for like this one incident? Like Whitney said, this one time I did something, you want to throw me to the fire, but Jen could constantly and religiously disrespect you and everything is cool. It's weird. That's why Heather's book, they're like, okay, Heather, how do you feel about putting your book out? You know, you ripped the Band-Aid off with your family, and you know, this book is basically, you know, about your life. How do you feel about it? She start crying, just like, you know, my Mormon she do all that, and she just like, you know, my family is very, you know, private. I am about to say secretive, very private, and you know, they are not gonna like this book. They're not gonna like what I'm saying. I have a few cousins that are standing behind me, but she's over here, I don't know if it's like being sued or whatever by the whole Mormon church. And she's just like, yeah, you know, they're coming after me, and just like, I'm just speaking my truth, and I have the church trying to come after me and everything, and it's a big deal. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to minimize or invalidate her feelings. Her feelings are valid, but at some point, I mean, she's living her life. She's doing what she has to do. And I feel like Heather's making the best decisions that she can for herself. It's like, this is your story. Put your story out and just do what you have to do for yourself. Regardless of how your family feels or not, this is your story that you're going to leave behind. This is your legacy. So you got to do what you got to do. Your family, hopefully they'll understand. If they don't, they don't. If they do, they do. So the husbands come out. And we talk about Whitney's and it's funny because on this cast, there's no husband that I personally find attractive. But you know, here's what it is. They're not ugly men by far, not ugly at all. Just not my type, right? But you know, Whitney's husband, he talks about basically, you know, him losing his job and the cringy moment from season 2, like how they did a whole little paint party and he slapped her on her butt. That was cringy. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like his company, I guess right after that, they didn't like that. They fired him. They said, okay, goodbye. But he talks about, you know, this, by him getting let go, he had opportunities to do more things. Like in his personal life, he did not say that he has a job yet, so he's still unemployed. But it is what it is, so that's just that. Then we go to basically Seth. He's just like, okay, Seth, how do you feel about, you know, Lisa coming to you, talking to you about the whole situation with Meredith? Like, how you feel about that conversation? Lisa was like, well, you know, I didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable. I didn't think I was talking that much. And at the end of the day, Seth had a right to not want to talk to Lisa. You literally trashed you trashed Meredith, you trashed Seth, and you trashed her family. So at the end of the day, I could see why Seth was like, yeah, you know what, let my wife deal with that. I'm not about to deal with it. It is what it is. But John speaks up.
It was hurtful. You know, I just took it for what it was, just a crusade to retaliate towards Lisa.
Meredith basically went on this diatribe about my wife, and you want to sit up here and, you know, I know they did it just for retaliation, and that's just what it was. But he was like, you, Seth, for you to be over here in the closet talking about my wife and over here having money in your hand, 50 cents, and try to imply that we're broke. He's like, I didn't like that, because he was like, I don't get into it when it comes to when my wife brings up stuff about Meredith. I keep my mouth shut and I just let her talk. But you over here want to make jokes about my wife. It's like, we don't do that. We supposed to be cool.
Our understanding was to not get involved or talk about our wives. I've never said anything derogatory about Meredith, and so that kind of hurt.
Meredith was just like,
At the end of the day, it was an egregious.
I apologize if the commentary was hurtful.
So egregious.
Just that it was meant to be funny.
It was egregious. It was just an egregious comment. It's just like, who would believe it at all?
You know how Meredith do? I'm just like, girl, if it was so egregious, Meredith, then why bring it up? Like, if Lisa would have did what Meredith did, Meredith would have held on to it until Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season 20. So it's just like, at the end of the day, I do feel like Meredith holds Lisa to a higher standard, where I feel like Meredith has went after Lisa. To be honest, for me, I feel like Meredith got her get back, because Meredith went really, this beginning of the season, she had at least like 4 rumors that she had about Lisa. So I'm just like, at the end of the day, I get where Lisa's coming from, where it's like, I was mad and, excuse me, I get where Lisa's coming from. I was mad in the moment, and yeah, I said what I had to say because I was upset. For Meredith, it's like it seemed premeditated. Each scene says something to different people. So now you can't sit up here and tell me that you're just so, I don't know. Because Meredith sat down with Angie H, Meredith sat down with Jen, Meredith sat down with Whitney. I don't know if it's Heather, but Dana. So like, come on now. And I'm not saying that Lisa was right. Lisa was wrong for what she said in the hot mic. And I'm not saying that they should forgive her, because at the end of the day, like, if you don't feel like you're friends, you're not friends. Cool. But don't sit up here and act like you're just so holier than thou. Because Meredith always want to act like she's holier than thou and act like she wants to give a quick apology. I've noticed that Meredith was just like, well,
I'm sorry. It is what it is.
So Meredith gets questioned about flip-flopping on Jen.
Meredith, season 2, you couldn't stand to be around Jen. You justified that now that she's pled guilty.
Meredith, season 2, all season 2, you thought it was so, I'm not surprised Jen got arrested. Jen stole from my store a green clutch. Jen is this, Jen is so crazy. You're being indicted, this and the third. She said, who's a fraud? You, baby, all these things. So you want to sit up here and you really did your big one. You and Mary went ham on Jen, even when Mary would talk about, I hope to God you go to jail. But now, season 3, because Jen, tried to commit, that changed your heart and opened your heart to the fact that, Jen, I guess technically now is a criminal.
Jen had made an attempt on her life. And with what I went through, I wasn't playing with that. That
I can turn a blind eye because I'm not the judge and the jury. I can give her a pass because I'm not the judge and jury. I'm not going to, I'm not going to kick her when she's down. I'm not mad about that. At the end of the day Anne is asking, how do you feel about Jen frauding and taking money from people, innocent people, and she's stealing money, millions of dollars from people? How do you feel? And for Meredith to be like, I'm sad for the victims, but for her, I'm gonna stand by her because it's just like, I'm not the judge and the jury. The girl, and she's talking about, I don't want to talk about it because she hasn't been sentenced. It's just like, girl, she haven't been sentenced, but she pleaded guilty. What are you talking about? At the end of the day, she stole money from people. I would say, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm not going to kick her where she's down, but I'm upset that my friend lied to me in my face countless times, telling me that she was innocent. I am pissed off that she stole this money from these people. How dare she do something so vile? There's so many things you could have said. It's like, at the end of the day, I'm going to support her in a way that is not going to jeopardize my freedom, 1. 2, and I'm going to support her in a way that is going to keep my morals. They didn't say that. They over here just like, well, I'm not the judge and I'm not the jury.
Guilty, innocent, in between, she is still a human being. I will always root for the underdog. Always.
You know, Heather gonna follow Jen blind because I asked Heather, okay, well, you know, Jen go to jail. Are you gonna visit her? Are you gonna, you know, be that friend, step up to her, support her? She said, well, it just depends on where she go. So now it depends on where she go, and then she's talking about, well, you know, I can't do this to my family, you know. But Jen, I hope you see your friend. It depends on where she go for her to come visit you. But she's your friend, right? So they Heather brings up you know, people over here giving money to Jen to fund her I guess her retainer for her lawyers and stuff, because Jen has like crazy lawyer bills, and they talk about, you know, did Coach Shaw know? Lisa says she was about to give Jen money, but she didn't. Angie Harrington gave her money. And they talk about, you know, did Coach Shaw know about the whole situation?
That sometimes I've always struck me as like too good to be true.
So does that mean you think he possibly had knowledge and is letting her take the fall?
Possibly.
They all said certain things that they feel like he knew something. My whole situation, I feel like, and mind you, beforehand, I said that, you know, Coach Shaw was different from Erica. That was before Jen pleaded guilty. So this is how I feel now. I feel like Coach Shaw knew something. And this is why, because at the end of the day, Jen acquired this wealth, I want to say probably within the last 10 years, right? Coach Shaw has been with Jen since college. So from college to now, you did not see a bump of wealth. You did not see a bump of income. Y'all file your taxes together. Y'all do everything together. Maybe they file separately. Who knows? But you don't know where your wife is getting her money from at all? Nothing?
That he had knowledge. I mean, they have to file taxes together.
What do you think?
You could be so supportive if you knew she was implicated. Didn't you think like maybe Sharif knew when we met?
Do you think
like
that's
there's
an
a
act?
possibility? Because
I don't know anything anymore.
When we met for lunch, you brought up the fact that like, hey, how could Sharif not know? I think that Coach.
That's where it's kind of confusing for me, and it's kind of suspicious, because at the end of the day, these are the questions that people need to start asking. How did you not know when y'all been together for so long? With Erica Jane, I can, even though I dragged Erica Jane, I can give her a inkling of understanding, because at the end of the day, Erica Jane came into the marriage knowing that man had millions. This ain't the situation. But at the end of the day, if Coach Shaw said, you know what, something happened that that incriminated Jen, and it's just gonna cost you so much money, you should just go ahead and just go to jail instead of going to trial and risk going to jail for 100 years. Like, I mean, maybe she made the right decision. Who knows? At the end of the day, they said they were trying to give her like 13 plus years. She only got 6.5. So, I mean, to be honest, that kind of seems like a win. But, yeah. Lisa basically questioned Meredith on motives about the whole situation with Jen. And I was here for it, because I feel like at the end of the day, Meredith has been this holier than thou figure, and I feel like somebody should put some pressure onto her. I wasn't mad at all. But at the end of the episode, you know, they all did their whole reflections, and they all cheers and do all of that. And, you know, it seemed like maybe Jen and maybe Lisa and Meredith can come find a middle ground. I hope. Like I said, this season for me was a B-. It wasn't bad at all. For me, it was entertaining, but there were definitely parts where I'm just eye roll, because I felt like for a TV show, and this goes for all the shows, right? It should not be that hard to make a show pop if you have the right characters and you know how to produce, period. So hopefully they bring the right people onto the show, and we'll see what happens, y'all. But that was Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.